Thank you.
Is everybody in place for us to begin?
Not quite.
Not quite?
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Finish this.
All right.
Can you just sign where it says signature on the bottom?
Whoops.
Thank you. Attorney appearance for both.
Okay.
Does anybody need a copy of the rules? All good? All right.
Mr. Terrio, my learned colleague here has requested a little bit of time, and I was agreeable
Yes,
to
that's the-
an extension of time.
That's what
So I didn't want
Yeah.
to
He's got the one to sign.
drag today out any further than it needed to. I just wanted to alert you to that.
Okay. I think we'll go ahead and start if everybody's ready to start, and then if we're in motions, then we'll certainly do that. So is everybody ready to go then?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Great. So I'd like to call the board to order. We have Robert Hanlon representing Dina Krieger and Carl Kaminsky, Jeannie Ridings representing Steve Firak and Arnie, I forget Arnie's last name all of a sudden. Waltmeyer. I started to say Walton. The board is convened to hear the petitions of the objectors as listed in the McHenry County Electoral Board docket for 6/13/2024. The objections were filed on 6/7/2024. Notice of call was given to the McHenry County Electoral Board on 6/10/2024. The board's notices of today's hearing were served on the parties as required by Illinois Election Code. Is there a motion to adopt the board's administrative rules of procedure?
Yes, I so move.
I'll second the motion.
All right. All agreed. And here, I have a copy of this.
Let me just.
Oh, catch and release.
Just like our criminal system.
I heard it. He must have been on the second.
Thanks. Thomas, would you sign there? Because of the possibility of judicial review of the board's decisions, the court reporter is present to ensure that a verbatim transcript of today's proceedings is made. And our court reporter is Betsy from Q&A reporting today. Electoral board hearings are subject to the Open Meetings Act, and that public notice was posted in writing 48 hours before the hearing. We now have an opportunity for public comment. Has anybody signed up for public comment? There's no public comment.
Mr. Terrio, may
Yes.
I object to you saying that there's no public comment because I know there's a gallery full of people and you didn't address those people, and I don't want a reversible error.
We did prior to your arrival.
Yes.
We had a sign-up sheet for public comment.
Okay. I just wanted it to be on the record.
All right, done. The docket contains 2 objections. The first being 24MCEB02, the objection of Dina Nicole Krieger to the nomination of Stephen Firak as a candidate for McHenry County Board Member District 5. And the second is 24MCEB03, the objection of Carl Kaminsky to the nomination of Arnie Waltmeyer, candidate for McHenry County Board Member District 6. And we would ask the court reporter to administer oaths at this point. I suppose it would be Ms. Krieger and Mr. Well,
From a
Well,
procedural standpoint,
Yeah.
Mr. Terrio, perhaps we could address the motion of opposing counsel as opposed to swearing in witnesses that we're not going to call today.
agreeable, 100%. So bring your, what is your motion explicitly?
I actually have a motion.
Okay,
Your Honor, I am asking to move to continue this hearing and reconvene after providing both counsel an opportunity to file a legal brief on the matter in anticipation of any judicial or appellate review so that the record is clear and the legal authority is set forth in the record. And if the panel sees fit to grant such motion, I think those briefs could be completed in 2 or 3 days for each side, and we could reconvene either later next week or early the following week if the panel would so provide.
and Mr. Hanlon, did I understand that you're in agreement?
Yes, my learned colleague had sent me a request via email earlier today. I responded to her that absent an objection by my clients that I would have no objection here. I raised no objection after conferring with my clients. I would suggest a date for the renewed hearing, however, after the 25th, because one of my clients will be gone in the intervening period of time. And as it relates to any kind of briefing, the movement here, is the respondents slash candidates here. I would suggest that they file their brief at some point and give me 2 days after that to file my response to it.
Is that agreeable?
I don't think, I'm the move-on in terms of a motion to reconvene. I'm not the move-on on the substantive issue of the objection. And I'm not certain what I would be, I'm the respondent, what I would be responding to unless there were a brief filed by the objectors here. I think the ordinary course would be that they would file a legal brief in support of their objection because they have the burden, and then we would file a responsive brief. That's my understanding of how that should work procedurally.
So I will say that traditionally, that isn't how we proceed traditionally, not in all cases. So traditionally, this hearing takes place on the day that it is called, usually to completion. I'm not disagreeable to the idea if everyone else is agreeable to adjourning and coming back at some later point. As to Mr. Hanlon's question of, if I understood you correctly, sir, was that you would like to see her brief and have an opportunity to file a brief in response to that? 2 days
Let me
notice.
just interject with respect. Yes, that was my understanding. Opposing counsel, when made her oral motion to the board, requested A, continuance, and B, the filing of a brief.
Right.
That made her the movement for that purpose of the motion. She has then since recanted that second portion of it as her motion, but nevertheless, I understand that she wants to brief the matter, at least present the legal authority to the board. I have no problem if we want, if it makes it easier for everybody that we just have one date for both of us to exchange a brief and submit it to the board, then you can look to it. But this is a statutory construction issue. Absent there being a specific authority on this specific point, we may just be looking at authority that's not necessarily directly on the legal point at issue in this objection. So, however you want to proceed, but typically, in my experience in coming before this board on many other occasions, we would continue the matter and then we would just duke it out at the next hearing date as a technical term.
Right.
Well, may I suggest this? Since we're kind of on an expedited schedule, perhaps you could each submit a brief and then we'll each give you 2 days after receiving the briefs to reply to those individual briefs if there's anything in the brief that you feel is necessary for you to make a written reply to. And
I'm okay with that.
On behalf of the candidates, I'd be fine with that as well.
So both sides would develop a brief and share it with us to be shared amongst the two of you, and then there'd be a 2-day period for you to reply to that brief.
And then we'll set a hearing date?
Yeah.
Would be agreeable?
Well, we could set a hearing date
Set a hearing
now.
date today.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm after the exchange of.
absolutely.
And Ms. Ridings, you had mentioned that you felt like you could get your brief together in about 3 days, is that?
I think 3 days would be sufficient.
Let me get my calendar out here.
Mr. Terrio, I need at least a week, and I don't think anybody would be prejudiced because my client can't come until after the 25th. Anyway, today's the 13th, so you've got at least 12 days there to work with.
That would be fine with us.
So what day?
I'm just saying a week from today,
Okay,
Which brings us out to the 20th.
right.
and then opposing counsel and I can exchange our briefs via email. We have each other's email addresses.
Okay. So 20th for the first brief, and then the second brief
2 days after that.
2 days after that, which would be the 24th if we count business days.
Yes. And then we'd have our hearing on the 25th.
No, 26.
And then
Oh, after the 25th, so the 26th or the 27th, or whatever date works on the calendar.
And then you'll also exchange those briefs with us.
Reply briefs.
And if the board could be so kind as you were very quick about sending me notifications and so forth, if you just send me the same kind of notification, tell me where to send the brief to, I'm happy to do that. And we can submit them all electronically.
Okay. Is that agreeable to you, Ms. Riding?
It is agreeable, thank you. And I would propose either the 27th or the 28th of June to reconvene and hear any oral argument. And if we could, again, do it in the afternoon, I would appreciate that accommodation.
I'm presently available on both of those dates. However, I do have a federal court matter that may occupy my time on one of those dates. I'm waiting for a scheduling order from the district court. The district court's not going to yield to this board.
Right.
If by chance there's a conflict, I will send a notice to opposing counsel and request a new date at that time.
Also agreeable?
That would also be agreeable, thank you.
Rhonda, did either of those dates work for you?
Either one is fine.
Should we set an alternative date in the eventuality that you would have to go to federal court on that hearing date? Maybe the next week, so we have something a little bit more concrete. If you said can't make it on the 26th or the 27th, we'll be back.
Things
If
just
we
fill
say-
up, so I don't know. But if you put a tentative second date, I'm okay with that. Then I can at least inform the court.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so how do we feel about preferred date of the 27th, Thursday the 27th?
I'm agreeable.
That works for us.
Deborah, does that work for you as well?
Sure.
Okay. All right, and then a tentative second date after that week, we end up in the July 4th
Weekend, that's why it's
week.
difficult.
Yeah.
Is the 28th available? If both council and parties are ready and we had both days, then if Mr. Hanlon is
Yeah.
blocked on either one of those days, we have the other one?
No, that's fine.
All right, so 20th would be the tentative second date. If the 27th doesn't work,
27th and the 28th?
great.
And you said the afternoon, right? You prefer the afternoon?
If possible, I have court in the mornings. I appreciate that accommodation.
Just all this contingent upon us finding a room.
Yes,
So,
yeah,
That,
true enough.
that was my big struggle
Ah.
for this one is juggling rooms in this building, so. I will be in touch with everyone.
Understood.
As we try to find something.
Yeah,
And Deb, is there an email address that we could use for them to submit their
You can
brief?
use me as the middle person, that's fine.
And you have that already, Mr. Hanlon?
I believe so.
I do as well.
Thank you.
all right, so just to confirm, so the initial brief on the 20th, the reply on the 24th, return here on the 27th, with the 28th as a contingency in case Mr. Hanlon gets called into the federal matter. Is that everybody's understanding?
That sounds like what.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Okay, great. With that, I guess the next would be to have a motion to adjourn.
Well, do we need to have a motion to continue this to those dates?
Or is that what, yeah, rather continue, rather. So, do we have a motion to continue?
So moved.
All right,
And I'll second.
all right, so it is.
Yeah, so technically, there's not an adjournment.
Right, it's a continuation, yeah.
It is continued,
Yes.
and there's nothing happens between now and then, outside of what the briefing schedule is.
Yeah, so the motion is to allow the parties to exchange briefs and replies if necessary, and then to continue this matter to the date.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking at 1 o'clock on those days?
That's what we'll shoot for, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, contingent on room availability and
That work for
the
you?
other things that might happen in people's lives between now and then. All right. All right. If there's nothing else? Do we need a motion to adjourn for the day, or is this?
Your motion to continue, I think, serves as that.
Finishes? Okay, all
And
right.
then the business ceases at the point in time that, since you've already voted on that, I think business is concluded for today.
All right,